What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about this horrific tragedy that occurred in Charlotte in late August, um, where a Ukrainian refugee who had escaped the Russian invasion. I think her name is Erna. Let me make sure I have her name correct. Her name is, or name was, Ernia Zarutska. She's just 23 years old. When I first saw the video, because of the way she was dressed, and I noticed other outlets that made the same mistake, uh, people thought that she was a boy, but it comes to find out that she was a girl. So she was stabbed 3 times, including once in the neck, by a man named Carlos Brown Jr., 34 years old, who has a very, very long rap sheet. I think I saw something along the lines of him having been arrested 13 separate times. History of mental illness, and for some reason he was out and about, uh, despite the fact that I think he should have been in some sort of institution. Judging on the things that I've read about him, and I'll talk about that in a second. But when you look at the video, he just randomly attacks this woman. Absolutely, there was no premeditation. There was no planning. This was not a revenge. I don't think he knew this woman, and he just attacks her. And you know, we're definitely seeing an increase in mental health issues in this country. And you know, to be quite honest, you could track some of this stuff that's going on right now to the Trump administration cutting funding, literally billions of dollars, funding that would go to mental health clinics and mental health programs and institutions. They don't have the funding right now to take care of the large scope of people that have mental health issues, which is at pretty much at an all-time high in this country. So I'm not saying that Trump or his administration swung that knife, but inadvertently, the administration has some culpability in what's going on right now. But you look, I see that the Trump administration is playing this up. They're, to me, definitely, they're trying to do anything and everything to get us to stop talking about the obvious things going on right now. Most pertinently, you know, the issues with Trump and his connections to Epstein. They're trying to do everything that they can to get us to stop talking about that. So this is right up their alley. And, you know, the dynamics is something that they want to talk about or to show, because let's be honest, Trump administration is made up of white supremacists. And they're definitely looking at the racial dynamic and playing it up. They're even using certain rhetoric, if you catch it, that's giving red meat to his supporters. I'll give you an example I'm talking about. Listen to Trump's language here in this speech talking about this particular crime.
For far too long, Americans have been forced to put up with Democrat-run cities that set loose savage, bloodthirsty criminals to prey on innocent people, really very, very innocent people. In every place, they control radical left judges, politicians, and activists, and they've adopted a policy of catch and release for thugs and killers. In Charlotte, North Carolina, we saw the results of these policies when a 23-year-old woman who came here from Ukraine met her bloody end on a public train. And here's a picture of it. This is the picture of it. And this is a picture of the woman, a beautiful young girl that never had problems in life, with a magnificent future in this country. And now she's dead. She was slaughtered by a deranged monster who was roaming free after 14 prior arrests. We cannot allow a depraved criminal element of violent repeat offenders to continue spreading destruction and death throughout our country. We have to respond with force and strength. We have to be vicious just like they are. It's the only thing they understand. 24 of the top 25 most dangerous cities in America are run by Democrat mayors. 50 people were murdered in Chicago in recent weeks, with hundreds being shot. And it's time to stop this madness. The people of our country need to insist on protection, safety, law, and order. We have proven that it can be done because we did it right here in D.C., in District of Columbia. The capital of America was a bloodthirsty, horrible, dangerous place, one of the worst. And now it's a crime-free city, and we're going to keep it that way. It can be done. It can happen fast. All we want is, please, Mr. President, we need help. Chicago needs help. Other cities need help. We'll do what has to be done because we're going to make America safe again, and that includes our big cities. We're going to make those cities safe. Thank you.
Now, when you listen to Trump there, he uses certain language. He said something to along the lines of bloodthirsty, vicious animals or criminals, and we have to be vicious just like they are, because that's the only thing they understand. People can say I'm reaching with this one, but when he goes through the cities that are Democrat run, that have violence, the 14th or 15th most violent Democratic cities, whatever, or cities that are Democratic, he's kind of insinuating that they're black cities, if you really pay attention to what he's saying, right? So there's definitely a racial element there. And look, man, I'm just going to say this. I'm 45 years old. And I'm not 25 years old anymore. I'm not even 35 years old. I'm at a point now where I recognize racism when I see it, right? We can argue, absolutely. The things that are going on in this country right now, the Constitution, the Supreme Court basically giving police officers, this isn't being talked about much, but they use the prism of ICE, but really now the Supreme Court just basically gave police officers, if you pay attention to the news, they gave police officers pretty much the right to discriminate against Black and brown Americans without due process, without due cause, without just cause. So we're in a situation now where we're slowly ticking back the hands of time back to the 1950s. And I told you this was going to happen under a Trump administration, but I had all this resistance. I kept getting all this resistance from Trump supporters about this, right? Black Trump supporters. Now, I get it because I didn't want Kamala either. But, you know, I didn't want Trump. I somehow wish that a third party would have won, but I know that's not going to happen in this country. So we got to deal with what we're dealing with right now. You know, when that mass killer, right, who killed those 2 children and injured like 17 people at that Catholic church last week, was it, or maybe 2 weeks ago now, right? I talked about it on my Patreon. I noticed that when that person or that other shooter that killed all those kids in Uvalde, or the shooter that killed, I think they attempted to kill some kids. I think they did kill some kids in Nashville. They all had something in common. And I talked about it on my Patreon, right? But yet I notice when people like that commit crimes, they're lone nutters. They are not representative of their race, or they're not representative of a group. Although all three of them, matter of fact, when you go back, it's four of them who are only 0.8% of the population, are all of a sudden now representative of four of of the past six so-called female shooters. Right? I don't really want to go into specifics what I'm trying to say here, but we got all this resistance in the media. No, they don't represent. How can I put this? They don't represent Transformers. They just happen to be individuals who happen to be Transformers that did that, right? I said, yeah, but man, I mean, there's something to be said about this, right? Like, what's going on here? But that got pushed back. Even J.D. Vance said, oh, this is a mental health issue going on in our country. So when certain people commit crimes, it's the individual. It's only with us, black people, that this guy somehow represents me. And that what gets under my skin. That's what gets under my skin. This guy, I don't give a fuck about this dude. Look, I just saw that Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, formally they're going to press federal charges against this guy. Good. I hope he rots in fucking prison. What I don't like is when these type of situations get pushed by the media, all of a sudden now you have all these talking heads. They use this and they push it and promote hatred toward black people, in particular black men. It happens every single time. Every single time. So then people say, well, y'all need to stop committing all these crimes. Well, we do commit a lot of crimes. But then again, every race commits a lot of crimes in this country. We don't have a monopoly on crime. But if you look at the media, it seems that way. But let's get to the meat of the coconut here. A guy like Trump and many other people, when they look at this girl, they see potentially their daughter. They see a niece. They see their granddaughter. Just like when the Central Park Five that were falsely accused of raping that woman, that white woman in that park back in the late 80s. Trump then, a much younger man, saw his wife. See, there's a reaction that's visceral. It's deep. It's personal. It's personal. But see, we're so fucked up as a race. We've been taught to hate one another. So much so that whenever we see one of us as a victim of violence, it used to be, you know what I'm saying, we would be solidly behind them. But what do we see now? That beautiful young sister who was slaughtered by that monster in Milwaukee, who happened to be white. What did you see black people do? You saw black people, some of them, a lot of them actually, blame her. Well, she shouldn't have been trying to. They even accuse this girl of being a bed wench. They accuse her of being a thought. Accuse her of trying to, sleep with a guy for money. All these disgusting racial tropes. And when the city was thinking about building a statue of this woman's honor, you had all of these racists say, why should she get a statue? But I wouldn't be surprised if this girl, who's not even American, and I'm not saying she shouldn't get one, but I bet you nobody will oppose her getting a statue. Because let's be honest, when people think American, A lot of people think white. So look, it's gonna be people that haven't listened to the damn thing I said, not really, and they're gonna sound playing the race card because they're idiots. They're idiots. They want me to just get on here and say how horrible and how much of a monster this black wicked dude is, right? Which he is, right? But I'm not going to ignore the obvious issues we have in this country when it comes to mental health problems. That don't excuse everything this motherfucker did. But where were these tears at when that monster who came from another country set that woman on fire? Remember that? He set that woman on fire and then fanned the fucking flames. I didn't see Trump or Biden set up a press conference and put his face every fucking where. Matter of fact, I don't even know since this day who that woman was. But you know, that's all I got to say about it, man. My condolences. I really feel sorry for what happened to this woman. She should not have been killed. It's an absolute crime, and he should never see light of day for that. It's such a heinous, unprovoked attack. He should never see the light of day. But I see this all the time. I see these types of crimes be committed all the time. And see, it's about what you can relate to. See, I can relate to Ahmaud Arbery jogging and then having 3 or 4 racists hunt you like fucking cattle, hunt you like fucking, you know what I'm saying? Hunt you like prey, all because you're in the wrong part of town. I can relate to that personally. It gets me viscerally. Doesn't make me a racist. It's just I can relate to that. I try to relate to everybody. But you know, apparently it's becoming cool in this country to only relate to what you want to relate to. So that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.